What is up, Pacer Nation? Welcome back to another episode here of your go-to Pacers podcast, Setting the Pace. I'm your host, Alex Golden, and joining me is my co-host, the lovely Michael J. Facci. Facci, you were at a wedding this weekend, so that's why I had to go with lovely.
Hey, lovely. Love was in the air. That it was. But always fun to go to a wedding, and always good to be back home. This one was in the old stomping grounds, Washington D.C. Made a trip down there, saw the old crew, saw my brother, saw my nephews, my sister-in-law. It was a good little family affair. But I'm back home with my family where I belong.
Well, let's get to what took place Friday afternoon in Las Vegas. There was a lot that went down, but the first thing that happened, the Indiana Pacers inked a new contract with Isaiah Jackson. 3 years, $21 million, no team option, no player option, just a flat contract. Tony East did have some details on that yesterday, saying that the deal it's front loaded, so it's going to decrease each year, which I think is just huge for the Pacers.
I love it.
What do you think about Isaiah Jackson now being the highest paid center on the Pacers?
I mean, look, if you look on paper, I think he deserves to be the highest paid center on the team. I like this deal though, but when I saw the details from Tony with that contract descending in value, I loved it even more. This is that time where the Pacers were, they're like, I don't know, $8 or so million, I think, below the tax. Like, you have extra money to go around. Use it to your advantage. So I think it's great that, Tony mentioned that it's like $7.6 million in year one, I believe about $7 million in year two, and then that means that year three will be 6.4 million. We don't know what the Pacers do in the future, so I love the fact that it's like, hey, it makes it a little bit easier cap wise in the future to have this deal descend. And for Isaiah Jackson, clearly Indiana has a great read that he's going to be healthy long term. And I believe it was Tony that might have also said that Isaiah Jackson said that he was like between 80 to 90%
Mm-hmm.
at this moment. And it's July 13th as we're recording this, which makes me feel like he's going to be, ready to go by training camp. And I don't see there being any missed time in the regular season start.
Yeah, I mean, even if he's not there to start training camp and is like limited with what he can do, like I'm okay with that. I mean, they definitely have enough centers on the roster right now to do
Totally.
more of a center by committee where you don't have to rush him back into anything. But I will say this: the one thing I'm interested to see is how Isaiah Jackson looks. Number one, coming back from that injury, and number two, I don't know if you noticed or not, but that picture that they posted of him at Summer League, he's put on quite a bit of weight, and I don't think it's a bad thing because I do think he was a little bit smaller, and I would say the comments in my replies about the Isaiah Jackson signing on social media have mostly been, "Oh, he's too small to be your long-term center," and I don't really agree with that. I think he's fine. Even if some people think he's 6'9", 6'10", I've seen 6'11" listed places. Like,
Mm.
he's got like a very big wingspan. Like, there was a video that was out today of him dunking at Kentucky, like right inside the free throw line. Like, this guy has got hops. So I
Definitely.
don't think size in terms of like height really matters that much, especially if it's just like an inch or two. But I do think that his ability to block shots, his ability to defend in space, and his ability to play up and down like the Pacers want to play is huge. The lack of a shot, I wonder how much that's going to change how this team looks with that starting five.
And I completely agree. And that was kind of my like hesitancy and why I liked the Jay Huff signing because I felt like it's like, okay, you can't go into training camp with Isaiah Jackson, James Wiseman, Tony Bradley, and just not have some shooting big man. So we're never gonna see, expect Isaiah Jackson to all of a sudden be this 35% or better 3-point shooter. But like you would think with all that time out, has he, improved his shot? Like that's definitely a good opportunity when you can't do too much footwork or any, type of moves. You would hope that maybe he could extend that shot because Isaiah Jackson is great within about 3 feet of the rim.
Mm-hmm.
Past that, it's a little bit of shaky ground. So I'm not expecting like a 3-point shot, but could he work on more of like an 8 footer? I know they say that the mid range shot is one of the worst shots in the NBA, but like just like a push shot, like Isaiah Hartenstein has that push shot from 5 to 8 feet or anything like that. So you'd love to see Isaiah Jackson add a little bit more to his game, but in terms of people saying he's too small to be a starting center, I don't know if there's anyone that feels overly confident that this is absolutely a starting center, but at about $7 million per year on average, that is a really great value for Isaiah Jackson, this Pacers team, and I feel like you could still be a good quality backup big in the future while only making $7 million. That is the furthest thing from being overpaid.
Yeah, I mean, and it still gives the Pacers some wiggle room if they want to go out there and make a trade
Yep.
for a guy that maybe they want to start over Isaiah Jackson. You don't feel like you're overpaying a backup center $7 million.
Nope.
So I think it's a very good deal. Let's see how he plays. I'm excited to see what he does. I think it's very, very, very team friendly in terms of it being, descending in terms of the amount of
Love
value
it. I
or how
love it.
much it costs because things are going to get more expensive when you have more extensions coming up. So to
Mhm.
kind of get him on the downward is a big deal there. But Facci, anything else on Isaiah Jackson before we
Yes.
move on?
Actually, yes.
Okay.
Look, restricted free agency. It's sort of a dead market. I think it was him and Santi Aldama. I think was the only other one
Santi
who,
Aldama, yep.
yeah, Aldama who got a restricted, a contract in restricted free agency. Everyone else is out there waiting out in the cold. Do you think the Pacers made the right move being able to get a deal done, or should they have perhaps said, okay, well, what else is the market? Let's see. You never want to be too cheap. In this scenario, I love the deal. 3 years, 21 million. I think it's great. I think that in my belief, I believe if Isaiah Jackson had played this year out, I think he would have increased his value and probably have been looking at something in that like 32, 35 million dollar range. Maybe it's like 4 years, 32, 4 years, 36. So I think the Pacers got ahead of it, and I think they made the right move.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I'll say. We've seen the Pacers in the past week or two negotiate a little too hard, and that hasn't worked out in their favor.
That is true.
So I think with Isaiah Jackson, some might think, wow, $7 million for a guy coming off an Achilles tear. Like, what was his market out there? Like you said, where was restricted free agency? But it's like, I don't know. Do you really want to upset the fruit basket if you can come to a deal that isn't really that big of a deal?
Yeah, and that's a good point. I just feel like we saw the Pacers do some stuff like, the Cam Jones contract, like, not a lot of it's guaranteed. Like sometimes it's like how do you keep your guys happy? And I think that like this shows faith that despite you coming off an Achilles injury and despite you still not being on the court, we have faith in you and we want you to be here long term. And I think that a lot of us were really excited about Isaiah Jackson coming into last year. And I think that now we can get that excitement back knowing that he's going to be here, longer term. And I looked at it, and this contract lines up in value with a lot of other Pacers, on this team. So look at this. Pascal Siakam, Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell, Andrew Nemhard, even Jay Huff's contract are all 3 more years. So I started to look at this, and it's like as of now, I believe, and not counting any of like the rookies, because we'll see what happens if their money not being guaranteed or not. You might be looking at in the 2028 to 2029 season, just like Tyrese Halliburton's contract and just a ton of cap space. A lot's going to change from now until then. It's just something interesting to know. Like the Pacers have something in mind right now, and that's why maybe, and we'll get to Turner later in this episode, but maybe that is another thing they wanted with a 3 year type of deal to have all of these contracts align on the same timeline. It's possible.
I mean, that's a good point. It definitely does kind of like leave that window of opportunity right there
Yep.
open in case there is a free agent that becomes available. Obviously, the CBA will continue to evolve and change. Fred VanVleet was voted in as the new players president as CJ McCollum is stepping down from that role. So we'll see what kind of negotiations go on there between the owners and the players and things like that. But it's going to be fascinating because the new CBA is definitely making things drastically different. And there's not a lot of teams out there with cap space right now. And I think as teams continue to kind of figure out how they want to go about doing this, I think the shorter deals are going to be they're going to become more of a common trend here. I'll be surprised if we see more 5 year deals, for future players. We're seeing a lot of like shorter term deals and then like these 2 year extensions kind of are kicking in here a little bit
Makes
later.
a lot of sense. It's
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 way for guys to cash in again
yeah,
because the cap keeps going up. So why would you want to sign a 5 year deal? Sign that 2 year extension like this, like Devin Booker. I mean, look what he just did. Devin Booker just ripped for
ridiculous.
2 more years. It's like 2 years, like $150 million or so. It's like, yeah, why would a guy want to sign like an outright 5 year deal if it's not, your first contract, which obviously everybody wants to sign with your team that has your bird rights, things like that.
All right, let's not wait any longer, Facci. I think now we need to get into it. You kind of teased it about 2 minutes ago. We're going to get into Myles Turner. He had his introductory press conference with the Milwaukee Bucks in Las Vegas. And my oh my, did Myles Turner have a lot to say. And somebody get this guy a PR. Somebody
Yeah.
get him somebody new in PR because whatever he's doing right now is just not looking good for Myles Turner. And I have a lot of things to share on this, but I want to
Please
get
do.
your initial thoughts on what
Here's
you
what
think
I'll
for
say.
Myles.
I had no hate on my part towards Turner leaving, going to the Bucks. Shocked. I hated Turner's comments at the press conference for the Bucks. I left that with a bad taste in my mouth, and I know a lot of Pacer Nation feels the same way. Some of those comments were like, "Whoa, whoa!" I that's yeah, like you said, you should have worked with a PR team before then because you're offending a lot of people right now.
Myles Turner. Let me just put it this way. This man loves to pretend like he wants to be the villain. Myles Turner is probably the worst villain out there in all of sports history, okay? This is like the equivalent of Topher Grace playing Venom in Spider-Man 3. Myles Turner
Everybody knows
as
that was the worst one. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like
Oh yeah.
terrible Venom. Like what was that hiring or what was that casting choice? I'm
Forget
not
about
a movie guy, but that's my movie comparison here. But
it makes sense. It does.
let's just get into this for a second because we have talked about Myles Turner at nauseum on this podcast about other things he has done poorly. I go back to when he scored 40 points against the Washington Wizards. I think it was Nate Bjorkgren's year. It might have been Rick Carlisle's first year. I
I was in
cannot
the
remember.
building for that. I was there.
Yes. So he
Literally.
drops 40 points. And do you remember what he said after the game?
Oh
I,
yeah.
I
I
can do this
all
on a
time.
night to night basis.
Exactly. Yep.
The very next game they play the Miami Heat,
Thinker.
0 points, bench in the fourth quarter. Okay, this is Myles Turner when he starts talking his talk. He cowers. He is not good at becoming the villain. So all this stuff that he is saying here that we're going to get to that he said, to me, it's laughable. And I go back to a couple of years ago when he was on the trade block and he was on the Woj podcast after they had played the Wizards and they played the Nets the next game, and he was a no-show. He didn't even show up for the game. He was absolutely terrible. You could tell Rick Carlisle was not very happy with the things that he had to say on the podcast, but he recovers from it because he just shuts up and plays basketball, and that's what he does best. When Myles Turner starts talking, he always gets his foot in his mouth, and I don't think he can really back up anything that he says. You and I were there when there was a season ticket meeting when he played against Jokic. And Chris Neri's like, hey, what'd you think about the game you had against Jokic? Pretty good competition you had. He was like, well, I think I'm a hell of a center too. It's like Miles, you're not Jokic. Like
I
this
know.
guy is just delusional when it comes to thinking who he is versus what he isn't. And that is where I'm gonna turn this back over to you because so many comments that he made were just so unnecessary and they don't really make any sense.
Exactly. And I think he could have probably framed this as like something different that's like maybe after 10 years I think I'm open to a new challenge or like know your worth or whatever. Okay, sure. I get that. But what I hated was my former team, we were just, my former team was just a young and hungry group. To me, that feels like disrespectful. To me, like a young and hungry group is like the Orlando Magic. It's like something that's like a team that hasn't been there, but like has the type of talent. This Pacers team was 2 quarters away from winning an NBA championship in Game 7. And to be honest, if Turner played a little bit better, we might be champions. So to say that we're this young and hungry group, to me, it felt like it kind of, undermined like what we've actually accomplished the last 2 years.
Two things in that quote that made me beyond irate was the fact that he couldn't even refer to the
I
Indiana
hate that.
Pacers as the Pacers after 10 seasons.
Like Paul George
My
used to do that,
former
and I
team.
hated that. I hated that. Like my former team. Like where's the bad blood over here? We didn't just like dump you. Like I mean, this is like we're the Pacers, man. You were like people adored you and loved you. Like just call us what we are.
I mean, you spent a decade, the first 10 years of your career with the Pacers. All you have to say is, I spent 10 years with this organization, with the Pacers organization. I grew up as a man. I learned a lot. But at this point, it's time for me to go in a different
That's
direction.
fine.
Like you said,
Fine.
a new chapter in my career.
Yep.
I'm going to Milwaukee where I feel like I have a great chance to win a championship with one of the best players in the world, Giannis
Exactly.
Antetokounmpo.
Hmm.
You
Fine.
still give the PR crap to the Bucks fans that you're talking to because they're all excited that you're now in Milwaukee instead of disrespecting the organization that just spent hundreds of millions of dollars on you to be their starting center for the last 10 years. So that's how I felt about that. But you're right. The disrespect by calling them young and hungry, you're talking about Pascal Siakam, an NBA
Yep.
champion, calling him, grouping him with that group that's called young and hungry. And I thought it was also interesting, Facci, that he said he texted the group when the news broke so they didn't have to hear it from social media. Well, it doesn't really make sense if you do that because they all got Shams notifications
I
on. They're
know.
not stupid. And so, I mean, Tyrese even talked about that during the Luka trade. So I think that Miles kind of like backpedaled there, got himself caught in a situation, and he said that a few of them replied to his text. So to me, the fact that not very many people reached out and how we've also seen not very many people liking his stuff on social media, I think there's some bitterness there. And I think Miles, number one, was rightfully upset that the Pacers lowballed him in negotiations. I still believe that's what happened. But I
Yeah.
think the way that, the team did not respond to him going to Milwaukee, even though he let them know, I think that hurt Miles' feelings. And I think that he is emotionally upset about it. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But the players are showing enough on social media by not liking his stuff, and then the Matherin video of him dunking on him. To me, and I'm sure you saw Nemhard's post as
I
well.
did. I
After all
did.
that, it's just a lot of like petty stuff that you're kind of sleuthing through. But to me, this is just unnecessary comments by Myles Turner, and he's digging himself a grave unless he really feels like he wants the smoke. But I've seen Myles Turner before, and I don't think he wants the smoke.
He does not want the smoke. Like you could say a lot of things about Turner, but he ain't been one to want the smoke. And I just feel like to let the team know after they've already found out is like, oh, like that's not how you do it. It's really not because by then I feel like it's a lot of people that are like actually like I don't know, hurt or disrespected or just totally feel like it's like, man, you couldn't let us know first. Like, even if it's like a text just before the news breaks, but like, once that news broke, like, that's how everybody found out. And KP said it himself. That's how he found out. Like, it's just like that's how it was. And that's not what you expect after 10 years of being here, being drafted here, and everything that you went through. And it's just like, also for him to say, you know, the only decision that went into this was like getting back to this. To me, felt like it was like a man, like that really feels like Tyrese's injury is what had you kind of lose faith in that. I don't believe that this team can get back there or has the best chance to get back there. I still believe the Pacers window over the next few years is better than the Bucks window, even without Halliburton for next year. Because I'll tell you this, we don't know how long Giannis is going to be there for. Like I've seen people with some great comments, like talking about that grass being green. It's about to be some tumbleweeds. Like that's going to be some dirt over there in about 2 years or so. And I feel like for the Pacers, hey, you know what, Tyrese, he gave his Achilles, he gave his body to be able to put us in a position to win. And I felt like I don't know. I just feel like Turner really kind of made it seem like the Bucks like were this like you're joining I don't know, like some true like OKC, Boston, like one of those like hey, that's hard to argue against. The Bucks? I don't think that's some championship team. I really don't.
No, and what I think is really interesting is you basically trade out Damian Lillard for Myles Turner. That's the swap that you're making, and you're thinking that team's going to get better. Damian Lillard was great last year. He was an all-star last year before he got hurt. Myles Turner's not going to be that. Myles Turner's going to be 13-7, maybe
Yeah.
14-8, but we know he don't get a lot of rebounds, so 8 seems like a little bit of a
It
stretch.
it's never happened.
He
Yeah.
might get 6 and he might get 16-6. He might have something like that with like 2 or 3 blocks and act like he's this great player. He's not a great player. He is a very solid role player. He is a glorified role player, and I'm not saying that disrespectfully. I'm just saying he is not a superstar like Damian Lillard. And then they go in and they bring in Gary Harris, and they go in and they who else did they bring in last night? Cole Anthony. That's right. So they go out and they kind of get like this hodgepodge of guards that,
Yeah.
oh man, like whoa, we're making some big moves here. I mean, they're probably praying that Bradley Beal gets bought out and they have a chance to get him. And I think that might change a little bit of their team
Good.
dynamically if they get a Bradley Beal. But let's just focus on what their team is now with Myles Turner and the comment that he said. There's a saying I hate. I hate when they say grass isn't always greener on the other side. I'm confident enough to say that the grass is going to be green wherever I go. The only reason it's greener in Milwaukee is because you got a green jersey on, my friend. No
Yeah, it's
offense.
true.
You went from Tyrese Halliburton, the point guard, setting you up every single game for open looks, to wife beater junior. I mean, come on. Let's be honest here. What kind of trade off is that? Miles already has taken wife beater junior's number. He's going to be wearing number 3 for the Bucks.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's like, I get it. Giannis is a great player. There's no doubt about it. You can make the case that Giannis is the best player in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. Oh,
And you're
yeah.
and you're pairing yourself with Giannis, who is a force to be reckoned with. And Miles made some jokes about having to take shoulders from him and not having to deal with that anymore. Okay, I get all that. But I'm not mad that Miles had complimentary things to say about the Bucks. I don't like how he took shade at his
Agreed.
team and the Pacers. I don't care. I don't care if you want to have shade towards the front office. I don't have a problem
Yeah,
with that.
I agree with that. I agree with
You
that.
can say that we were, I'm not going to share the negotiations out of respect for that franchise, but all you had to do was basically just say the Bucks gave me a deal that I couldn't refuse. The
Totally.
Pacers never gave it to me, or whatever. I mean, because look, I don't care if the Pacers gave it to him or not. They made that decision. That was their fault to lowball him and kind of play this hardball game with him, that hard negotiation. I just think that when you're calling Pascal Siakam and TJ McConnell young and hungry,
I know. I don't like that
disrespectful.
one bit. I really don't. I just feel like he could have phrased it in ways like, this Bucks team really let me know they're committed to winning at any means necessary, and I felt very valued. And playing with Giannis is something that's very, very special. Whatever, whatever. We talked about it. He could have, but to like undermine the boys. I just feel like that is a bad move, and that is hard to come back from. It really is. Like you could just see like the shade and stuff that we saw out there. Like this is the next chapter in the rivalry. It really is. Like they're gonna see Turner at least 4 times next year, and if the playoffs are any, if it goes the way it's been, I mean, look, that could be all of a sudden playing them 10 or more times in a season, and I just feel like this is going to be something that when they talk about when Turner says the grass isn't greener, this I think we're going to look back years from now and we're starting to see Paul George reminisce. One day Victor Oladipo will reminisce. We've seen others. I mean, I even remember we had Antonio Davis on this show. I believe you were on that one, right?
Yeah, we were both
Yeah.
honest together.
And he said one of his biggest regrets was that he asked for a trade from the Pacers, and the Pacers ended up going to the NBA Finals the very next year. And he mentioned that that was something that like truly hurt him. And when he looks back on, he wishes that he could have worked some things out. And I feel like when it's all going to be said and done, Turner's going to really look back on his time and say, like, man, I had a home in Indiana. I was loved by all, and I never quite got that again. And that's what happens to some of these players because I don't know if he's going to finish this contract in Milwaukee. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. I think that Giannis ain't finishing that contract in Milwaukee. We'll see what happens, but just don't take the shots at the team, especially like when you just look at like how I have some respect for Halliburton and everything that he's done. I think he should have won out in a little bit of a classier way, even on his not his apology, his like going his goodbye. There was like a little bit of like, kind of like you guys don't know how much I've had to sacrifice over the last. It's like, all right, come on, like let's not
Right.
make it seem like you could have been this like all NBA all star and like we held you back type of scenario. Like I don't know, I left that goodbye where like I didn't feel it. I didn't feel that there was something in there that's like, man, like let me go watch some Miles highlights. Like I'm gonna miss this. Like that was the last thing I had on my mind.
Yeah, the Players Tribune, you felt that.
That
In
was a
this one,
real article that moved people.
yeah, it almost felt like he had poured all his emotion into that Players Tribune, that he was just kind of cold and had nothing left to pour from his emotions in that farewell to Pacer Nation. And it took him forever to post it. I mean, we
Oh
were
yeah.
waiting. It was like 5 days, 6 days, 7 days since he was signed with Milwaukee. And I'm like, why is it taking this guy so long just to post something out there? Like,
Well, maybe
okay.
he got locked out of social media or something. I mean, I was like, where's the post already? And this is the best that you got? Like this looked like this could have been thrown into like Chat GPT or something, some AI, like just to formulate that. There was no emotion in there that
No.
we, thought maybe that we would get.
Yeah, and like he didn't even reference like the team going to the finals in Game 7 and like Halliburton and Siakam and all that they meant to him. It was more like the '94, teammates I've had with PS
Yeah.
and E and all this. I mean, I don't have a problem with what he said, to be honest with you. Like that was way better than what he did at the press conference. It was like he was sitting next to Doc Rivers and he got like this just crazy amount of excitement. Like when Doc was like, when we were thinking of the perfect fit next to Giannis, we're like, it's this guy right here. And Miles just like, I'm a Buck, man. I don't hate y'all no more. Like that was the weirdest thing too. Like that little
I
video he
know.
posted out there on the Bucks social media page. Like it just makes me laugh because it's like a really bad, person being cast for the villain role. He's not a villain. Like and that's what I think just makes me laugh. It's like, Miles, you're not an all-star. You're a role player. And honestly, like, yeah, the Pacers are going to miss your production. There's no doubt about it. The Pacers will miss what he brought to their team, the different elements that he brought. And I'm not even saying this out of disrespect to Miles because I grew to love Miles a lot more. over the last couple of years, I felt like he really blossomed with his new role next to Halliburton and as being the sole center. And I think he's actually going to have some quality play next to Giannis in Milwaukee. But do I think it's going to amount to getting to where he was just at last year? I don't see that. Even though the Eastern Conference does not look strong, I just think that you made it to a game seven of the NBA Finals against the best team in the league this year with a chance to win, and you were so pitiful. It was ridiculous. I mean, I almost wanted to start out this show, Facci, with a breaking news missing person found
Yeah, that's
stinger here because look, for the last two series, Myles Turner was nowhere to be found. Finally, we see him for the first time in Vegas wearing a Bucks hat. I mean, that's how I felt. This guy was absolutely atrocious in the NBA Finals, and he was not very good in the Eastern Conference Finals at all. So this guy is talking a lot of talk and not really backing it up, and that's what he does best.
someone put up the stat that was like Myles Turner was 11th in rebounding in the NBA Finals, and it was like 11th. Oh my God, he was like behind Tyrese and plenty of other guys like Matherin and like guys that he was playing more minutes than, and it's just like yeah, it's shocking. I mean, he really couldn't have been more of a no show when we needed him most, and that's where I kind of feel like it's like if you really wanted to win a championship, like the stage was set. The stage was totally set. In game seven, we're getting cooked by Chet Holmgren and I just feel like there was other games like that, game four where the Pacers had a huge opportunity. I mean, if Turner steps up, whatever. Hey, we'll always have to live with that. But I just feel like there didn't need to be the shade. There totally didn't need to be the shade. And there's people out there like Rooster that were saying 5 years, 125, and a no trade clause. Like, I mean,
Did
really,
you see
but
Rooster's last
I
tweets?
I did, and that he flipped like a pancake. I mean, like I felt the hurt in Rooster when I saw that. I went, "Oh man!" I was like, "Now that's a guy who's turned to the dark side now because of Turner." I felt like it was like he got stabbed in the back, and I understand why he felt that way because like it was so true. Like Tyrese really did give his body like just show some respect. And I think that the respect wasn't there at the press conference.
I want to read Rooster's tweet because it made me laugh so hard, but I'm gonna bleep out the
Yeah,
message,
yeah, he
obviously.
was really, letting loose.
He said, Tyree sacrificed his effing Achilles to help you win a title, you effing ungrateful POS. I've tried to remain supportive of a player I've always loved in Miles through this process, but F that. He's literally dead to me. Enjoy sucking Giannis's A till he leaves.
That tweet blew up. It really did. I saw it.
2.7 thousand likes,
Wow.
288,000 views on Twitter.
Wow. Hey, good stuff, Rooster. Good stuff. And I knew when I saw that, it was like, that's when I know he struck a chord because Rooster was the guy pitching the no trade clause situation when everyone was like, all right, man, you can't do that. And now here we are on July 13th, and this man wants blood.
The text messages I got from Rooster that night were some of the funniest I've ever gotten in my life. The reaction from Pacers Twitter on this has been unbelievable. I just want to give some shout outs here because there's been so many great posts, and I'm forgetting the person's name. I do apologize. I have to pull this up, but the person that posted the picture of the grass being dead.
Oh, that was so good.
Oh
It
man.
was a girl. I can't remember her name
Yes,
either.
I'm gonna pull it up. She's
It was
always
so good.
sharing our stuff. I feel terrible that I'm not remembering her name off the top of my head, but I'm gonna find it real quick. So just keep
I
talking.
know. I definitely remember that. And I remember like that was kind of like the image I had in my head when I mentioned that, like, whatever, tumbleweeds or, just dirt. Like, because that's how I imagine Milwaukee's going to look like 2 seasons from now. And then Turner's going to be like it's me, KPJ, like Bobby Portis. Like, what are we doing over here? Like, they
Yeah.
got like no draft picks to do anything with, no young, real up and coming talent after other than like Ryan Rollins. Like, there's just not much there.
Yeah, it was at CP Morgan 19. So CP, that
Great,
was an excellent tweet from Carmel, Indiana. At
it's
least she's not a Lakers fan. That's good.
good. It's good.
So, but that was hilarious. That was probably one of my favorite tweets of the entire thing. But just seeing the amount of vitriol coming from so many Pacer fans about this was just unbelievable. And you know, I've been tweeting the stuff that Miles has been saying just because I thought it was interesting. He thought that he'll get like a 50-50 welcome back when he comes
Not right
back.
now. Not right now.
No, and you brought up a good point because I wanted to get back to this. You brought up Paul George and Victor Oladipo leaving, and someone was talking with me about that today, and I said, to be honest with you, like Paul wanted to leave. Paul requested a trade to the Lakers. Victor Oladipo told the Miami Heat, "I want to come play with
Yep,
y'all."
they did.
Myles Turner never publicly did anything like that, but I think after 10 years of being here, to go out the way that he did and what he said in Milwaukee, it's very comparable to the other two. But number one, those guys are all stars. Myles
Yes.
Turner is not. Those guys were the face of the franchise. Unfortunately, Myles Turner was never that. But it's different. It doesn't sting as much to me as those two leaving in the way that they left. I mean, obviously Oladipo's injury didn't help him any,
Yeah. No.
but the Paul George one obviously like just kicked you right in the face, like
That was
Kevin
my
throwing a gut
last
punch.
favorite player. I'm honestly telling you, when Paul George requested that trade, I grew up. I had to grow up. I was like, I don't have a favorite player anymore, and I probably never will
You
because
never got another
I
favorite player?
never got another favorite player again.
So Tyrese isn't your
Love.
favorite player right now?
I mean, like he is, but not like Paul George. Paul George, I loved Paul George.
Do you have
I
any idea who
felt
my favorite player is right now?
no.
After we've done this podcast for the last 7 years, you can't tell me who my favorite player is right now on the current
Uh,
team?
on the team right now,
Yeah.
Andrew Nemhard. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, come
Yeah,
on.
no, yeah, oh, yeah, of course. But I was like a
Get hard, stay hard, and them hard.
yes, yes, yes. I was like a Paul George fanboy on my birthday. Paul George gave me his shoe. He gave
Whoa.
me his shoe. I still have it. It's unbelievable. It was
Where's
a
it at?
it's at my parents' house.
Oh,
Paul George exclusive shoe that was never ever released. It was like the coolest thing, and that's on my birthday. I remember being like, "This is it. This is it for me. It's me and Paul George for life." And all of a sudden, we know how things went. And after that, I was just like, you know what? I'll never have another favorite player again. It's just Jermaine O'Neal for the rest of my life. That man could do no wrong. He never did any wrong to me, and that's just my guy.
absolutely. Well, I'll just say this. Caitlin Cooper has not ever really, thrown shade at
I
anything.
saw it. I saw it deleted, but the shade, it was
We
there.
got some spicy Caitlin after these
It
Miles
was some
comments.
spice. And you know what? Everybody respected it. Everybody saw it and was like, that's when you know you struck a chord. So I feel like, whether she had a moment or not and then said, hey, you know what? Maybe delete this. We were all on your side, Caitlin. We're
I
right
want
there.
to know what led to her deleting that because she still wrote the young and hungry thing.
I think it just kind of like, I think people started kind of picking up on it and it was probably getting some attention and it was probably just like, all right, you know what? Maybe let me just take this down. But I can't
I've
remember.
done that before.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I just remember being like, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, and well, it's just frustrating. I think that I would just say that the new term Delulu is definitely a great way to describe Miles Turner. And we also like to use the word nails. That does not represent Miles Turner's game. He is not tough as nails.
No.
In fact, he was shooting a lot of nails at the backboard
Now,
during
I
during the
have,
finals, man. I mean, I
yeah,
can't get over how poor he played offensively in that NBA finals. I mean, he hits 1-3. The series is different. I mean, he
but
couldn't hit the
that's what I'm
broadside of the
saying.
barn.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's like you could say a couple different things. He plays better in game four. Okay, you know what? Like they probably do hold on to that lead. Plays better in game seven. I mean, he was nowhere to be found in game seven, and that's when Chet really went off. It's like the Pacers could have had an opportunity if Turner had just turned it on in game seven and had still been, playing poor games 1 through 6. Everybody forgets about this. Turner's definitely a Pacer. We win a championship. Everything's completely different. Even if Tyrese is hurt, you still feel like it's like, you know what? We had our day in the end. Tyrese is coming back. This team's staying together for years. Like our window is very much open, and now it's like things are different. Things are different, and I feel like we'll see what happens with the ripple effect which happens of that Tyrese injury because the Tyrese injury now leads to Miles leaving, and obviously led to Dame getting waived and stretched first, and we'll see where he goes and just the impact and ripple effect that this has across the league for potentially the next year, 2 years, whatever it may be. But at the same point, look, you know what? I think we'll never know both sides necessarily
Oh,
about.
it'll come out eventually. Turner will talk about it in a couple years.
Yeah, he'll go on a podcast and we'll get news on what happened. But
Paul
I
George, podcast B.
probably. But in the end, I think there was just differences on side alignment. It seems to be the word that there's always like some word tough out alignment. Like there's always some key word that describes what we go through as Pacer fans. With our players and the organization. But you know what? In the end. I think it's just for the better. I really do. I stand by that. And short term, this might be unfortunate. Long term, I think everything's going to be all right. Indiana's going to figure it out.
Yeah, I think what Caitlin Cooper wrote in one of her articles was taking one step back to kind of make basically move two steps forward, right? You're going to take a step back without Turner, but you're going to move forward without him because you're limited with what he can do and you
Yep.
don't have to pay him a ton of money. And I think that is, to me, is like the big thing here. You're not trapped with a $27 million contract for the next 4 years when you can, find other ways to spend that money and make your roster better, especially when this is a guy that really had average numbers for a center. I mean, it's not like his numbers were spectacular. He did shoot the ball well last year, but other than that, we know he's a great shot blocker too. Like, I'm not trying to discredit Myles Turner
He's
because I
a
don't want to
very
do that
unique
either.
skill set. He's a really good in terms of if you're looking for the combination between a really good 3-point shooter and a really good shot blocker. Myles Turner is what you want. If you're looking for a rebounder, you're looking for like a
A
you know
lob threat.
yeah, a lob threat, 20 point per game score, you're not going to find it. So
Yeah.
I just think that that's when you got to look elsewhere. But like, yeah, when you want to talk about taking a step back, take a step forward, it's like we're taking a step back only for a running start. That's all it is. And we're going to take that big step forward and we'll see what the move is in the future. And I think a lot of that is really, how things work. And I've always said before, like, what if Oladipo did take the money? What if he did take that deal? We don't get Tyrese Halliburton. So like there are sometimes it's the move that you don't make that ends up being one of the better moves. And I think in this situation, this is it. This isn't us just kind of covering up. I think this is like you if you looked at this and the Pacers had committed to Turner, like I said, pieces got to fall, pieces got to go. There is no next move after that. You're stuck with what you got. I think now the Pacers have a little bit more flexibility than what they've had over the past, calendar year or so.
I can't wait to see Pacers Bucks. I don't know when it's going to take place, but like this
Got to
rivalry,
throw it on TV. Got to be on TV.
it's only getting better. And Andrew Nemhard, man,
Woo!
I cannot
Fired up.
wait for next season, man. We are going to see All Star Andrew Nemhard, most improved Andrew Nemhard. Pacers are going to be a top five seed at the All Star break, and Nemhard's going to get an All Star bid. I'm just telling you, that's my
That
prediction
would
right
be
now.
that would be electric. So
I'm ready for it, and I cannot wait till he hits Miles with a crossover and a shimmy. Oh man,
that
I cannot
shoulder, I
wait.
want that shoulder laying right on
Yep.
into him. We're gonna need that, and Matherin's gonna want a piece. He's gonna want
Isaiah
a piece.
Jackson, Johnny Furphy, everybody.
Johnny Furphy. Yep, you just throw Furphy. I want Ben Shepherd ticked off. All right, that's what I
He's
want.
probably the one that texted him back.
Right, 100% one of the quote couple of guys he heard from. Shepard is too nice, and I feel like that man sent the text back.
He probably sent the first one back, and then nobody replied. He was like, "Oh man, can I push undo send?"
It's definitely like Tony Bradley, Ben Shepherd, like I just feel like some of those type of guys. 100%. There was no Matherin. There was no like that. I will take to my grave that there's no way that Matherin sent a text back on that.
Matherin probably sent like a laughing emoji back to it, or
Yes,
the middle finger emoji.
yeah, something or Matherin just removed him from the chat, like one of those where it's just like totally like, all right, that's done. So anyway, what are you guys doing? Just I think he's not that kind of guy. He's like I feel like he has that mentality of just like, hey, if you ain't with us, you're against us. Bring it
Yep.
on.
All right. Well, let's close things out here quickly. We'll do like 3 good minutes of this. The Summer Cers, they played in game two on Saturday. They lose 104-85 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I was really excited to come on here and talk about game eight of the NBA Finals, but we're going to just pretend that that didn't happen
Yeah,
because
I
no
want.
Quenton Jackson, no fun Cers. This was a pretty pathetic game, Facci.
No, it really was. I mean, like Quentin Jackson was that guy that you knew it's like, okay, he might be too good for summer league, like, yeah, whatever. But like in terms of like what the rest of this team had, there wasn't those guys that really stepped up, and I think it was a big opportunity for others too. Obviously, we did get to see Johnny Furphy play near 30 minutes, and that was cool. And I think there was some good in there. I think from 2 point land, really good. From 3 point land, not so good. 0 for 6. So like, you want to see that 3 point shot looked good in game one. So I'm not overly cautious or anything like that, but I want to see more Furphy. I want to see him put it all together. I want to see one of those that kind of breakout performances. So that was one of my takeaways. What was one of yours?
My takeaway, I like Talon Peter. I think
So
he's
do
really
I.
solid. I think
So
he's a
do
solid
I.
player, and we got to see a little bit more of his range. He ends up going 6 of 10 from the field, made all of his 2 point baskets, only missed 4 threes, but he shot 3 of 7 from three. 15 points. I just think he's very poised. I mean, all that in 23 minutes, Foch. Very, very solid defensively, too. I think that he's going to be a player that continues to develop. I think he's going to get a two-way contract, but I don't think he'll play on the roster very much this year for the Pacers. But I do think a lot of Noblesville Boom games, it's going to be fun to watch him play because I think he's pretty talented. I think that out of the two rookies so far, he's been more impressive.
He absolutely has, and that is not to be a knock on Cam Jones, but like Taylor Peter is I don't want to say a diamond in the rough, but like that man's a sleeper. He was not on a lot of like draft boards or anything of the sort. Like Jonathan Givony, they were saying like I might not have been too familiar, with him on draft night, but like at pick 54, Indiana, I remember the days where. I think Cassius Stanley was like pick 55, and you're just like, okay, well, the idea of him and his athleticism, that's good enough. No, like Taylor Peter is like a really good shooter with a really good feel for the game, who happens to also be really athletic. And I feel like you're starting to see things where it's like, hey, I like a lot of what I see. Is he an NBA player right now, like you said? No, but like two-way contract, yes, he very well should be. If the Pacers did not have him on a two-way, someone else should snatch him up real quick. And I would honestly be bummed out about that because
Mhm.
right now through two games, like I've seen enough to just say like, wow, this guy has already outperformed his draft spot. He
Mhm.
really has, and I think it was just the 1 year of college basketball, essentially on the D1 side at Liberty, coming off the bench, would just had him going under the radar. But for Taylor Peter, I am definitely encouraged with what I've seen. It's one of the major takeaways, and last episode that I did for Summer League where you weren't here, it's between him and Enrique Freeman for that last two-way spot.
Rique was good.
Enrique Freeman played another good game. He did 15 and 11. The encouraging thing was hitting threes. He went 2 for 2. Last game, he was 0 for 2. At least one of those was an air ball. I felt like Enrique Freeman is bringing his A game, and this is kind of spicing up that competition between him and Peter.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. They could always cut Ray J Dennis as well. But I thought Ray J was
And how
excellent in game
That's the
one.
thing. How crazy is that? Game one, he was unbelievable. Game two, like I told you on that show, I was saying more Ray J in game one. Second
Less
game,
Baby Shark.
saying exactly. Second game, I should have been saying less Ray J. I mean, look, I
More
don't know,
Baby Shark.
more Baby Shark. Yes, I mean 1 of 10. Like it doesn't really get any worse than that. And he was someone that like I was very encouraged with in game one, and I think that's how you could see the difference between a two-way player and a standard player is consistency. I would say.
Facci, I gotta just break the sports talk for a second.
What do you got?
Funniest headline I've just got on my phone from USA Today: President Trump's favorite candy maker is not RFK approved. Is a clash brewing?
Oh my! Like that is just like what slow news day, huh?
I
Like
know.
truly, like yeah, that is quite the
Yeah.
headline right there.
What a headline. I mean, I'm literally just cracking up as I'm sitting here looking at these stats because I'm just like, what is this headline? I have to share. It's just so
Yeah,
stupid.
yeah, that is out
What
of
a
left.
presidency we have right now. But anyway, let's just talk more about summer league right now because I want to say Johnny Furphy obviously got hurt in the first game, didn't get to see a whole lot of him. Still not hitting his 3-point shot at the level you want him to shoot it. I think he went 0 of 6
Yeah,
in this game, but still 5 of 6 from 2, which is really impressive.
I
And
like that.
that first play that he had where he drove to the basket hard and then dunked, he has some really nice flashes of potential. And I have loved when he has made those quick, decisive moves to the basket. They've usually panned out to good shots. Whenever he kind of like slowly kind of tries to be a one-on-one scorer, I think he struggles a little bit. But to me, he's got more pop than a Ben Shepherd. And I don't know if you saw my tweet or not, but JMV had Chad Buchanan on his radio show on Friday after Myles Turner's press conference. They talked about all that stuff. Nothing really was said there from Chad, obviously. But when talking about Johnny Furphy, he compared him to Ben Shepherd. He said a bigger Ben Shepherd. I thought pretty interesting. I
Yeah.
know there's a lot of fans that are like up and down on Shepherd, but I think if I'm looking at both players, the potential for Furphy is through the roof compared to
Oh
Shepherd.
yes. Oh yes. I mean, Furphy's still so young, and I feel like Shepard, obviously, 4 year college player. I mean, really, like you know, Johnny Furphy would be just, he'd be entering a year three in college right now. So I feel like, and he would be someone that would probably be lighting it up. So long term, I definitely love Furphy more. I think if that's could be a pretty good comparison. But I think what that would mean that hey, Furphy can continuously develop as a defender. I think the 3-point shooting will be better. I mean, obviously, 0 of 6, you're catching him on a really bad night. The shot looked good in game one. Johnny Furphy, I want to still see more. I want to see more. I want to see him have like one of those type of performances. It doesn't need to be like how Ray J or Quenton Jackson were in game one, but what I like is to see Furphy expand his game. I think that's what we're seeing right now is he's able to expand his game, try new stuff. That's what Summer League's all about. It's like we saw Matherin in Summer League before, like try and become more of a distributor, and pass the ball more. I think this is the time to really work on your game. So I'm excited to see what happens at Furphy, and then for Cam Jones. I think game one showed some stuff. I think game two shot the ball a good amount. I mean, 11 times, just goes 4 of 11, 0 of 6 from three. So obviously that's tough. That means he was 4 or 5 from two. I think he can get to the rim. He put some good pressure on the rim. 6 boards. I like seeing that. I actually listened to a podcast. It was Jeff Teague's podcast where I was amazed that Cam Jones was playing center in high school. I don't know how that happens at all. So I think that he probably learned an ability to be able to rebound better as like a guard, because of his experience as a center. So I saw he had 6 boards in this game, but it's just something interesting. I think right now Cam Jones has a lot of talent, but that maybe makes me a little bit more encouraged by Taylor and Peter, just the way that I feel that he has outperformed him so far.
Yeah, I'm trying to give Cam Jones the benefit of the doubt
I
because he
want
was
to
dealing
too.
with the hamstring,
Yeah.
and I don't know if he was acclimated with the group as much with practice and things like that. I mean, it's hard. I mean, summer
Still
league is
plays
just
30
weird.
minutes though, so it's like it's not like
Yeah,
he's only playing 20 or so, but yeah,
I know, but it's
so
just
he's
it's
probably not
different.
100%.
It's different, and I'll say this: like a lot of these guys are going to be role players in the league, and they're not going to be like the primary guy. And so, like we're talking about Johnny Furphy, like okay, he's like the number one option for the Pacers summer league team, so he's going to be treated like that. But if you put him on the roster with that
He
second
gets
unit
more
with
bucks.
Toppin and Matherin and TJ McConnell or whoever's in the second unit, Jarris Walker, like yeah, he's going to obviously have more floor spacing, better floor generals, and things like that. So that's where I try to just like pump the brakes a little bit and not get too overworked up about some of the stuff I'm seeing, but you just love to see growth from everybody, and it's good to see them trying different things to get better because that was one thing Jarris was doing too. Like they were having him shoot a lot of threes in summer league and have him bring the ball up the floor, and he had like 8 turnovers in one summer league game last year or 2 years
I do
ago.
remember that.
But it
Yeah.
was just like, who cares? Like it doesn't matter. You're
We're
just trying to
credit.
get better, and
Yep.
this is like a great game, like game action speed, where you're kind of like seeing things from that perspective. So. Nothing else here on Summer League. I think the Pacers' next game is Tuesday against the Chicago Bulls in Summer League action. So
I think it's
is it
Monday.
Monday?
Monday against the Bulls, 6 p.m. Some of these start times are kind of tough. Like I mentioned, 5 p.m. With some kids is definitely pretty tough. 6 p.m. like not much easier at all. It's kind of prime like dinner, entertain the kids type of time. But at the same point, I guess it's better than any like really late night
Did you
games.
see what time they play Thursday?
Oh God, what is it?
4:30.
4:30. Wow. I mean, like, come on. It's hard to be locked in and really like, wondering what the end of the bench is doing in a summer league game at 4:30 on a Thursday. But hey, obviously we'll be tuning in. We'll do our best. And I think that I mean Quenton Jackson dealing with a leg injury. Do we even see him anymore? Do you think he's
I don't know. I hope we do. I
enough?
like watching Quenton Jackson,
I
but I think
know.
he could be a guy that actually is your third string point guard on this team.
That's where I was about to go next. Is you look at all this. You got Enrique Freeman and Taylor Peter battling for that last two-way spot. You look at the center spot. Right now, currently, we have 4 centers that are signed. There could be a scenario where they could cut Tony Bradley, give Quenton Jackson a standard contract, and then you could still keep Enrique Freeman and Taylor Peter in addition to Ray J. Dennis. That's kind of been the thought process a little bit. I think it's definitely a possible scenario if Enrique Freeman can continue to play well.
Yeah, so I will just say this. They can still keep Quenton Jackson on that two-way contract and play him 50 games, right?
Oh, yeah.
He can dress for 50 of the 82 games, and I think if they can manage it correctly, where they kind of just keep him on that contract until they have to figure it out, I think you just probably make a tough decision with Enrique or Taylon Peter, maybe even Ray J. Maybe you cut him. I wouldn't do that because I think he was much. Ray J's first game was better than anybody's game so far from the other
100%.
two.
He looked
So
awesome in game one.
I mean, I understand why they're keeping Bradley. To me, it's strictly because they want to see what Wiseman and Jackson look like. And if those
Sure.
guys are healthy, then no offense to Bradley, he'll be cut. and that'll give them an open roster spot. But right now they're at 15 guys. So
Yeah.
they have to make that roster move right now, and that's not even including James Johnson if they want to bring him back and just to kind of be that, you know, veteran leader on the bench like he's been the
That's
last couple of years. So
a little bit tougher. It really
yeah,
is.
because you signed Cam Jones to that contract
I
too, where
know.
he's a standard guy, and so that also does kind of like eat into like maybe Quenton Jackson isn't your third string point guard, but I think he will play over Cam Jones at times
He's way
because
more
Carlisle's
NBA
going to
ready.
like what he brought to the team last year.
Yes.
So there's a lot of different scenarios here. It does make you wonder, could they potentially do a trade? I don't see it now,
I'm
but
not see it either.
like you said, the only move is Bradley, but I think at some point you might just say, all right, Enrique, we're not going to bring you back on a two-way deal. If he goes somewhere else, he goes somewhere else. But if not, you bring him on the G League team, or same with Talon Peter, because they have not signed Talon Peter yet either. So that's
No.
very interesting.
Yeah. I'm growing a little bit attached to Taylor Peter. I am getting a little bit invested to the point where I think I'm officially at the point where I would be bummed out if he was not on a two-way contract. I want to see more Taylor Peter. For Enrique Freeman, I feel like he's always going to kind of have a little bit of like a tough road as an NBA player. I think he's like probably the type of guy that can put up some pretty big numbers in like Europe. I really do. I feel like he would be like a really good double guy, overseas. But I think that he's someone who's still chasing the dream. He's played well. He's definitely showed some improvement, in my opinion. I feel like game one was pretty good. Game two, I feel like was better. But we're seeing growth. Saw him hit two big free throws, in game one to win it. He rebounded better in game two. We'll see what happens. I think this is going to be one that we're keeping our eyes on until the very last game, where I feel like someone like Quenton Jackson, like you don't need to see him play all of these games. Obviously, he already missed a game. I'm not so worried about that. Ray J. Dennis, like we said, probably not 100% safe, but probably safer.
I would agree. I would agree. I don't have anything else to say. We've probably gone 10 minutes too long on this episode talking about the back of the roster, that kind of thing, but we will definitely dive into more stuff that was said from Rick Carlisle on the Chris Long podcast talking about the two spot. Ben Matherin was not mentioned there for who he thinks will play the two spot. He said we'll develop the two spot. So we'll discuss those comments there and what people are saying about that on social media. And in addition, we're going to dive into the depth chart of this Pacers team heading into next season and kind of looking at the different possibilities there that Rick Carlisle has at his hand. So, Facci, this was a fun episode. Obviously, had to dive into the Myles stuff. Thought we probably touched on it enough. Could have maybe gone longer. Maybe we went too long. I don't know. But I just felt like fans deserve to hear our thoughts on everything because we do come from a fan perspective. We're not a reporter covering this team.
Yep.
We are fans covering this team. And as much as we hated to see Myles go to Milwaukee, we hated to see what he had to say more, and definitely had to
That's how
respect
I
to that.
put it. That's exactly how I would put it. Is like I said before, hey, this is a business. I definitely said that, but like, man, I feel like the second those words came out of Turner's mouth, I feel like he probably regretted it, and I'm sure some of the backlash that he's heard has probably made him feel like, oh, you know what? I think he came out saying something. It's all love. I hope no love's lost. A little bit of love has been lost.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that, and I think right now, Pacer fans, we have every right to feel this way. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I've seen Bucks fans starting to chirp a little bit back. I think that's probably never going to go away. This is an absolute rivalry, and the next page has been turned with Myles Turner.
Oh, nice
Oh,
little
you
headline
don't
there.
talk full of him. I'm a poet. All right, I'm a poet. I got a little something, something.
I'm a poet. Come on, you didn't even rhyme anything.
It was art. All right.
Look at this guy over here. Oh my goodness. What a guy. But anyway, Pacer Nation, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please follow us on social media at PacersPod STP on Twitter and Instagram. Facci's at _FACCI on both platforms. And I'm at Alex Golden NBA on both platforms. I know Facci was not sure about my Instagram handle last time, so I'll go ahead and throw out the right one there if you want to follow me on Instagram. Not super active over there, but I will respond to direct messages if I am looking at them. Other than that, Pacer Nation, thank you all so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's show. If you did, please leave us a 5-star rating and review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. This video will be up on YouTube as well, so subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. Pacer Nation, thank you all so much for tuning in. And if you're hoping the Pacers get a victory in Summer League play against the Chicago Bulls on Monday night, then hit me with those 3 words.
Let's go, Pacers.